The taxi driver dropped off his last passenger, then found a baby seat in the back. I've been driving a taxi for 15 years. You could say I've seen every kind of passenger. The loud ones, the drunk ones, the broken-hearted ones staring out the window pretending they're in a movie. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for that night. It was late. Around 1:30 a.m. The city had that quiet hum it gets when most people are asleep, but a few restless souls are still wandering. The rain had stopped an hour ago, leaving the streets slick and reflective like they were made of glass. I remember thinking, just one more ride, Sam. One more, and you call it a night. A woman flagged me down near the old train station, tall, maybe mid-30s, wrapped in a long gray coat. Her hair was damp and clung to her face. There was something nervous about the way she looked around before getting in. "Where to?" I asked, glancing in the rearview mirror. She hesitated. "Maplewood, near the edge of town. Long way out," I said. "Sure you want to go that far this late?" She nodded. "Yes, please." Her voice was soft, but there was a tremor in it, like she was running from something. We didn't talk much after that. The rain began again, light at first, then harder. The wipers moved in slow, tired arcs. Streetlights smeared across the windshield. I could hear her shifting in the back, whispering softly. Not to me, but to someone. "Ma'am?" I asked, trying to keep my tone calm. "You okay back there?" "Just fine," she said quickly. "Keep driving." Something about her voice didn't match her words. It was full of worry, the kind that sits deep in your stomach. When we reached Maplewood, she asked me to stop 2 blocks early. "Right here is fine," she said. I looked around. The street was dark. Houses were far apart, old and quiet. "You sure?" I asked again. She nodded, fumbling for cash.
"Here," she said, pressing bills into my hand.
"Keep the change." She opened the door, but before stepping out, she looked back at me. Her eyes, I'll never forget them, looked tired but thankful. "You're a good man," she whispered. "Thank you." Then she was gone. I waited a few seconds, watching her figure disappear into the fog. Then I sighed, turned up the radio, and started driving back toward the city. About 10 minutes later, I heard something, a faint thud behind me. I turned the volume down. Nothing. Maybe it was just my spare tire shifting. But when I looked in the rearview mirror, something caught my eye, a small shape in the middle of the back seat. I pulled over under a street lamp. There it was, a baby seat. At first, I thought it must have been left by another passenger, but I hadn't had anyone with a kid all day. I reached back and touched it, and my heart froze. It was warm. "Jesus," I muttered, opening the back door. The seat wasn't empty. Wrapped in a pale blue blanket was a baby, no older than 6 months. Eyes closed, tiny fists curled. My breath caught in my throat. I looked around, but the street was empty. No one was following me. No one was calling. Just the rain and the faint sound of thunder rolling in the distance. "Hey," I whispered, kneeling beside the seat. "Hey, little one." The baby stirred, made a soft sound, a kind of whimper. I didn't know what to do. My hands were shaking. I was just a cab driver. I didn't know how to handle something like this. I checked the seat for any note, any clue, and there it was. A small folded paper tucked into the blanket. My hands were trembling as I opened it. "Please take care of him. His name is Noah. Don't call the police." That was it. No name, no explanation. My head spun. My instinct said to call 911 immediately. But something about those words. Don't call the police, why? I got back into the driver's seat, gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles went white. I couldn't drive away with someone else's child in my car, but I also couldn't just leave him on the street. I thought of my wife, Marlene. She used to be a nurse before she passed. We couldn't have kids. Losing her had left a hollow space in me that no amount of work or miles could fill. And now, in the middle of the night, in the back seat of my cab, there was a crying baby, like the universe had decided to test my heart one more time. I pulled over at a diner, the one that stayed open 24/7. Inside, the smell of coffee hit me. The waitress, an older woman named Della, looked up and frowned when she saw me carrying the seat. "Sam, what on earth?" "It's not mine," I interrupted. "Someone left him in my cab. There's a note." She covered her mouth, eyes wide. Oh, sweet Jesus. We both stared at the baby for a moment, tiny chest rising and falling, soft breaths like whispers. "What are you gonna do?" she asked. I don't know yet. "Call the cops," she said firmly. "I want to," I said, but the note said not to. Maybe whoever left him was in trouble. She sighed, shaking her head. "Honey, you don't mess with that kind of thing. You call the authorities." I looked at her, then at the baby again. Something in me resisted. The way the woman had looked at me before stepping out. Those tired, desperate eyes. It wasn't the look of someone evil. It was the look of someone cornered. Della softened. "You've got a good heart, Sam, but good hearts get broken real easy." I nodded, staring at the baby. I'll just wait a few hours, I said. Maybe she'll call. Maybe she'll come back. Della sighed again, but brought me a cup of coffee anyway. I sat there for almost an hour, the rain picking up again, thunder rolling louder now. The baby slept, peaceful. Then, around 3:15 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Hello? A woman's voice came through, shaking, full of tears. You have him, don't you? My pulse raced. Who is this? Please, she said, don't tell anyone. I just need to know he's safe. Ma'am, you need to come get him, I said. You can't just leave. But the line went dead. I stared at the phone, my heart pounding. The baby stirred again, letting out a soft cry. I picked him up carefully, rocking him gently. Shh, I whispered. It's okay, little one. And that's when I saw it. A bruise. Faint but there, on the baby's arm. Something deeper than fear took hold of me. Something like anger and sorrow and confusion all tangled together. Whoever that woman was. She wasn't just running. She was hiding, and somehow I had just been pulled right into the middle of her secret. I couldn't sleep that night. Even after driving home and setting the baby's seat on my couch, I just sat there, staring. The rain tapped against the windows, soft but relentless. Every sound made me flinch. Every car that passed outside made me wonder if someone was watching. The baby, Noah, was asleep again. Tiny breaths making the blanket rise and fall. I didn't know the first thing about taking care of a baby. I'd spent years driving strangers home, not raising one. But as I looked at him, I felt something in my chest. A quiet ache I hadn't felt since Marlene passed. I whispered to her photo on the mantel. What do I do, Mar? What would you do? Her smile in that picture, it used to be my compass. I wished she were here now, telling me what's right. At dawn, I made a bottle using some emergency supplies I found at the gas station down the street. The baby woke up crying, and I panicked, pacing, bouncing, trying to remember what I'd seen other parents do. It took forever, but finally he drank and fell back asleep. That's when my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Same one as before. I swallowed hard before answering. Hello? The voice on the other end was barely above a whisper. Is he okay? He's safe, I said quietly. But you need to tell me what's going on. Who are you? Why did you leave your baby in a taxi? There was silence for a long time. Then, softly, because they're looking for us. And if they find me, they'll take him. My grip tightened on the phone. Who's they? The people I used to work for. Her voice broke. Please, just keep him safe for one day. I'll come for him tomorrow. I promise. You can't expect me to just... But she'd already hung up again. I stared at the phone, pulse thudding in my ears. Whatever this was, it was way bigger than a lost and found case. I knew I should call the police. It was the only logical thing to do. But when I looked at Noah, that tiny, innocent face, I couldn't. Something about that woman's voice. The fear in it felt real. By noon, I decided to drive to Maplewood again. Maybe I could find her. Maybe there was a clue. The rain had stopped and the air smelled like wet leaves. The neighborhood was quiet, too quiet. I parked near the spot where I'd dropped her off and started looking around. Old houses, peeling paint, one porch light still flickering in daylight. Then I noticed a curtain move, quick, like someone hiding. A voice came from behind me. Looking for someone? I turned. A man stood there, tall, clean-cut, wearing a black jacket. Too calm. Yeah, I said, trying to sound casual. Picked up a passenger here last night. Think she left something behind. He studied me. Woman, gray coat? I froze. Yeah. He gave a small smile that didn't reach his eyes. Haven't seen her. But if you do, call this number. He handed me a card. No name, no logo, just a phone number. I nodded slowly, tucking it into my pocket. Sure. Good man, he said, and walked away. But something about him made my stomach twist. His car, a black SUV with tinted windows, rolled down the street as if it were hunting for someone. When I got back into my cab, my hands were shaking. Whoever that woman was hiding from, they just found me instead. That evening, I went back to Della's diner. She saw me walk in and frowned. You look like you've seen a ghost. Worse, I muttered, sitting down. I told her about the call, the man, the card. Her eyes widened. Sam, this ain't some movie. You need to hand that baby to the police right now. I can't, I said quietly. What if she's telling the truth? What if he's in danger? She slammed her rag on the counter. And what if you're in danger now, huh? I didn't answer. I just looked out the window, the city lights reflected in the glass. I promised I'd keep him safe, Della sighed. You've got a good heart, but sometimes hearts don't survive doing the right thing. That night, I drove home slower than usual. The streets were nearly empty, the world quiet, until I saw it. A black SUV parked across from my building. No lights. No sound. I parked down the block, grabbed Noah, and crept through the alley entrance instead. My heart was pounding so hard I thought they could hear it. Inside, I shut all the blinds, turned off the lights, and held Noah close. "You're okay," I whispered. "I won't let them take you." Hours passed like that, me rocking him, waiting for something to happen. But nothing did. Then just before dawn, there was a soft knock at the door. I froze. "3 gentle taps, Sam," a voice whispered. "It's me." I hesitated, then slowly opened the door. It was her, the woman from last night, soaked, shaking, eyes red from crying. "Please," she said. I didn't know where else to go. I pulled her inside quickly. "You can't stay long. Someone's looking for you," a man in a black jacket. Her face went pale. "He found you? Who is he?" I asked. "My husband," she said, voice cracking. "Ex-husband. He's with people you don't mess with. He's using the company to launder money, and when I found out, he tried to silence me. I ran. But he'll never stop until he gets Noah back." I stared at her, every word sinking in like a weight. "Why didn't you go to the police?" "I did, but he owned some of them. Please, I just needed him safe until I could figure something out." Before I could respond, headlights swept across the window. A car had pulled up, she gasped. "That's him." I grabbed the baby seat, heart racing. "Go to the back door, now." We ran through the kitchen, out the back alley, and into the maze of side streets behind my building. My old taxi was still parked a block away. We climbed in, breathless. "Where to?" I asked. "Bus station," she said. "I can disappear from there." I drove fast but careful. Every light felt like a trap, every car behind us like a threat. Then, just as we reached the edge of downtown, blue and red lights flashed in the mirror. "Police." I pulled over, heart hammering. The officer stepped out, hand on his holster. "Evening. License and registration." I handed them over, trying to keep calm. He peered inside. "Who's the woman?" "Passenger," I said. "Heading to the station." He studied her face. Recognition flickered in his eyes. "Ma'am, we've been looking for you." Her hand tightened on Noah's blanket. "Please," she whispered. "You don't understand." The officer raised his radio. "We found her." "And the child." I looked at her, those same desperate eyes I'd seen last night. "Tell them the truth," I said quietly. Tears streamed down her face. They won't believe me, but something in the officer's expression softened. He'd seen enough to doubt his own orders. He lowered his radio. "Ma'am, get on that bus, now." She blinked, stunned. "What?" "I didn't see you," he said. "Go." She hesitated only a second before nodding, pressing the baby seat into my hands. "You brought him back to me," she said through tears. "If you ever need a reason to believe in good men again, you just gave it to me." Then she was gone, disappearing into the storm, just like she'd appeared. I sat there for a long moment, watching the bus pull away. When I finally looked down, there was a folded paper in the baby seat. It read, "Thank you for saving my son. I'll never forget your kindness. Someday when it's safe, I'll find a way to repay it." That was 3 years ago. I still drive nights sometimes, still listen to the rain hit the windshield. But every time I see a young mother holding her child, I remember that night, and the tiny blue blanket that changed how I saw the world. Not every stranger who enters your life is meant to stay. But some leave behind a story that stays forever. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Tale Story House for more stories that remind us compassion is the most powerful act of all.